Hello everybody, Professor_Elm5 here, and I'm very excited for what is not only my first ever Pokemon Draft League team breakdown, but my first ever video on this channel. I'm very excited to bring you guys all types of fun content, exciting stuff, whatever we end up doing here, I'm excited to see what the future holds. But before we get towards the future, we need to talk about something that's a little bit more immediate, and that is the breakdown of my team for the GPL's third season. My first ever time playing Pokemon Draft League. But before I even show you guys the Pokemon I picked, we have to talk about the team name. And I originally I needed a fill-in name, so I went with the Providence Poliwraths, and that was the name we drafted under. That was the name on the initial, league documents. But now, thanks to my good friend Balbs, I have a very spiffy looking logo, and that logo is going to be for the team that will be henceforth known as the Coastal Clay Dolls. Obviously that spoils one of the Pokemon that I drafted, but I am going to explain to you guys later on why we picked that for the logo, why I think that Pokemon is going to be a fitting mascot for this team, and I'm excited. Once again, I think the logo looks great, but now that we've gotten, branding out of the way, let's dive into the actual nuts and bolts of things here, and let's talk about the Pokemon that I drafted. So, I had the 7th pick in the first round, and like I've been saying, this is my first time ever playing in a Pokemon Draft League. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's something I've watched a lot of content on over the years, but I've never really done it. And there isn't really a lot of ways to really gauge when certain Pokemon are getting picked. There's not really a way to do mock drafts. Like, I play a lot of fantasy football, and I love the drafting process, and that's kind of part of the reason why I think that Pokemon Draft League really endeared itself to me, but there's not a way to really do a Pokemon Draft League mock draft, and a lot of leagues don't really post their drafts, so I wasn't positive where Pokemon were being picked. So, going into the draft, I wanted to prioritize drafting Pokemon that I'm comfortable with, Pokemon that I know how to use, which I think is probably a good rule of thumb in general for a draft league, but once again, especially with my situation, I wanted to make sure I had Pokemon that I liked. So, at number 7 overall, it might have been a little bit of a reach, but the Pokemon I picked, and maybe you've known it just by seeing the base stats in the bottom of the screen for the entirety of the video, but our first pick, and my first ever draft league pick, was Hydreigon. Now, Hydreigon is a Pokemon that I've used a lot competitively. It's a Pokemon I really like. It's a Pokemon I really just enjoy using, and obviously it has a great dual typing in Dragon and Dark, so you get Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, great dual stab, obviously phenomenal stats as a pseudo-legendary, monstrous special attack, good physical attack even, good bulk, 92 HP, 90 in both defenses. That 98 speed tier really does help a lot of the time. It outspeeds, things like Haxorus by 1 point. It outspeeds Darmanitan. It outspeeds. There are a lot of Pokemon that come up where I'm like, oh, will Hydreigon outspeed them? Oh, yes, it's a base 95. Oh, it's a base 97. So that speed tier on Hydreigon, great. Great coverage moves, Flash Cannon, Earth Power, Flamethrower, Gunk Shot if I want to go physical with it, which is, once again, it's capable of doing with 100 plus physical attacking stat. Also, it can be a supportive Pokemon, which I didn't even really realize until I was looking at this Pokemon, deciding if I was going to draft it. It gets Defog. It gets Taunt, which is not really a move I have on a lot of Pokemon on this team. So, once again, a Pokemon that I really like using. There aren't a ton of Dragon types. And you're going to see by my next couple of picks, I really wanted to nail getting a Dragon Fairy Steel Core. Like a strong one, ready to go for this team. So obviously getting Hydreigon I thought was a big part of that. After the first couple rounds, I was kind of second-guessing this pick. After seeing maybe what I could have gotten, Goodra was available when I was picking second. But after seeing the way my whole team came out, I'm very happy with this pick. I'm very excited to use this Pokemon. Once again, this is a great Pokemon. You can slap a Life Orb on it and just nasty plot up and sweep things if you get a good chance to do it. But just to even run the standard Hydreigon, let alone, once again, all the other powerful, nifty options you have with this Pokemon. So I'm excited to have it, and I'm thinking it will be one of the stars of this team come the end of the season. And then another Pokemon I'm very happy to get, maybe even just as a matter of branding. If you follow me on Twitch, I have an emote based on this Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Togekiss, who obviously is going to be our fairy type for this team. Togekiss, again, another Pokemon that you can just do so much with. I mean, obviously, great coverage. I mean, his dual stab alone is great. You know, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam. Doesn't get Moonblast, which is weird. But, you know, otherwise, like, great coverage options across the board. All types of special attacks. It's another defogger. Like I said, neither of these two are necessarily Pokemon that I would imagine to be primarily be used as defoggers, but in Draft League, obviously, you know what you're facing. You don't necessarily always need the same degree of coverage, or maybe I just really want to use one of these Pokemon as a defogger. But Togekiss, phenomenal special attack. Great bulk across the board. Especially phenomenal special bulk, which really pairs well with, again, our next Pokemon. Which we'll talk about when we get to that Pokemon, but great moves. Great support move pool. It gets, it can even heal up with Moonlight. I don't know if it gets Roost off the top of my head, but it can learn T-Wave. Again, Serene Grace, Super Luck, Hustle, all three of those. Very useful abilities. Abilities I can kind of mix and match depending on who I'm going against that week, what I want to do with the Togekiss. So, another Pokemon I'm very excited about. A Pokemon that, once again, great for the brand, too. Again, I love my Over Easy emote. So, a great Pokemon, a Pokemon I enjoy. First two Pokemon immune to ground-type moves. That's a nifty little thing, but very popular Pokemon, very powerful Pokemon. And again, very happy to have Over Easy on the team. And then finally, I decided my third pick, again, just trying to round out the Dragon Fairy Steel Core. This Pokemon, I had a few options for a Steel type, really. I could have maybe gone back up and spent a lot of my free points to pick a Tier 1, an Aegislash. I thought maybe Lucario was on the board, and Lucario was really the main competitor. And it really did come down to Lucario and this Pokemon here. But the Pokemon I ended up taking, Pokemon with the same typing as Lucario, that Pokemon, and the third pick, and was only a Tier 3, so it didn't even cost me any of my free points. Didn't have to really invest any assets in this Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Cobalion, who, once again, kind of when it was coming down to, do I draft Lucario or Cobalion? What Lucario had going for it was slightly stronger attacking stats, a little bit slower. The bulk isn't there, but the main thing I really was looking at that was really making me think about Cobalion. Really the main thing that made me think about Cobalion, it really made me think about Lucario, was the fact that Lucario has Bullet Punch, a priority move. Obviously, none of my first three Pokemon have priority. I think priority is super valuable. Overall, obviously competitive Pokemon, but especially in a draft league, I see a lot of value in having priority. So, that was why I was thinking about it. I'm very glad I didn't decide to do that, though, because when I look at the way Cobalion fits on this team as a whole, but even just within this core I have, with just Hydreigon, Togekiss, Cobalion. Obviously, Togekiss, great special bulk, base 115 special defense. Cobalion, great physical defense, base 129. Again, with these two Pokemon, I talked about them both being immune to Earthquake. A very common thing to do with Cobalion is to run a Shuca Berry. My first two Pokemon here, Hydreigon, Togekiss, both immune to ground-type moves. Maybe it kind of frees me up from having to run that Shuca Berry most weeks. Not sure, but it gives me that option. Maybe I don't have to. I can run Leftovers, I can run a Choice Item, I can run whatever I want to run, because maybe I'm not as worried about that ground immunity, about having protection against ground-type attacks. Also, Cobalion, another super versatile Pokemon. First Pokemon I drafted that can set Stealth Rocks, obviously. That's big. T-Wave, Toxic on this Pokemon. It cannot learn Taunt, but great, dual stab and steel. Can hit those fairy types, those rock types. Fighting type coverage, obviously great. Week 1, obviously steel's my favorite type. Week 1, incidentally, I'm going up against a Magnezone. Cobalion's is a steel type Pokemon that really does not care if you trap it with Magnet Pull. With a Magnezone, you can take out that Magnezone one-on-one. Random thing to bring up. I'm thinking about it because I'm facing off against a Magnezone week 1. But yeah, Cobalion, great Pokemon. A Pokemon I've never used before. But just looking at everything it has going for it, once again, the versatility, the way it pairs with these first two Pokemon, it just gives us really what I think is one of, if not the strongest, 3 Pokemon cores in this league. And I think most weeks it's going to be really hard to not bring all 3 of these Pokemon, because they all have so much versatility, and they're all very strong in their own right. Obviously, Cobalion, both its attacking stats, only 90. But, it still packs a punch, obviously, and the bulk Can't be beat. A good speed tier and 108. The fastest Pokemon of that group. Obviously in Draft League, one of the main things I would see, because obviously I've never done it before, but one of the main things I would see was speed tiers, speed tiers, speed tiers. Diversify your speed tiers. So I want to do that here. We have Cobalion, strong Pokemon, a lot of versatility, and again, very excited for it. Then for our next pick, I dipped into our free points a little bit. For the GPL, we get, you have to pick a tier 1, a tier 2, 2 tier 3 Pokemon, a 4 and a 5. Then outside of that, you get 4 free slots, which you have about 400 points to spend on. And then those points, what an individual Pokemon costs is based on its tier. So a tier 1 will cost almost half of your points. A tier 2 will cost slightly less. A tier 3 will cost less than that, etc., etc., etc. And then you draft a Gigantamax Pokemon. Which, maybe this is something I should have explained at the beginning of the video. But none of your Pokemon can Dynamax, except for the Pokemon you drafted as a Gigantamax Pokemon. And I'll get into who I picked later, but long story short is that Pokemon cannot have an item. Also cannot hold an item. It can only hold a Pokeball. They decided not to let this Pokemon have items. And some of those Pokemon cost more than others. Even the Gigantamaxes themselves were tiered, but that's not important right now. That's not relevant to this pick. With this pick, though, I dipped into my free points. I drafted a tier 2 Pokemon, a Pokemon I'm very excited to get, a Pokemon I've seen go very high in some of the few leagues I've actually been able to see results for, and that Pokemon was Galarian Corsola. This Pokemon is, as you can see by its stats, even without the Eviolite, very bulky Pokemon, but once you give it the Eviolite, this Pokemon has base 150 in both defensive stats. The HP is not great, but like with bulk like that, it really doesn't matter. This thing is going to sponge a ton of hits for you. It's another Stealth Rocker. Really the classic Galarian, well, it's a Gen 8 Pokemon. But really the most used, the bread and butter Galarian Corsola set. You run Stealth Rock, you run Will-O-Wisp to even further cripple physical walls. It gets Strength Sap, which is obviously a phenomenal coverage move. And again, gives it another avenue to deal with physical attackers. And then, usually you run Nightshade or some kind of fixed damage move, because obviously once again the attacking stats, not really there, but this thing can do other stuff too. It gets good coverage moves. It gets Earthquake. It gets Shadow Ball. I believe it gets Extrasensory. It gets, I believe it has some ground coverage somewhere in there. I think it's Giga Drain or Energy Ball. Like, it has good coverage. Obviously, once again, you're usually not going to be attacking, but this is Draft League. I know what I'm going up against. At least I have an idea what I'm going up against each week, so maybe I can try to find some fun shenanigans to do with Galarian Corsola. Maybe one week I can run a Calm Mind set. Run a Calm Mind, boost the special bulk. Obviously, it already has Will-O-Wisp or Strength Sap to deal with the physical attackers, so maybe that, and maybe not. Even if I just use it for how it's traditionally used, it's a great pivot Pokemon. It's a very bulky Pokemon. Gives me a almost guaranteed way to deal with physical walls. This thing is taking at least 1 or 2 hits from everything in the game, save for like a Dynamax Dark move can take this thing out, but otherwise, like, great Pokemon. Very happy to get it where I got it. Gives me a very, very firm defensive option. Not like we're lacking on bulk on this team, but a real dedicated defensive Pokemon. Another hazard setter. So, yeah, very happy to get Galarian Corsola. Hope we can get to use it at some point down the line. And yeah, Pokemon I was very happy to get where I got it. Then, with my next pick, this kind of sent the next couple picks in a direction that I wasn't going in planning. I really didn't go into this draft planning for much of anything. Other than that, I just wanted to get my cores. I wanted to hit speed tiers. I wanted to get, hazard setters. But I didn't have any specific Pokemon planned. But this Pokemon is available. The next Pokemon that we picked was also available. And these two picks obviously are going to be very much linked together. And I saw the opportunity to get something different. To get something I really wasn't planning on. But the Pokemon I drafted is Ninetales. Not Alolan Ninetales, which is a Pokemon that I like a lot. No, we got classic Cantonian Ninetales. Obviously, not the strongest fire type in the world, but the main reason you want to use this Pokemon is obviously drought. So it can set sun, it can create, it can help me boost my next Pokemon, which we'll get into in a second. But I want to give Ninetales its due before I just make it the Sun Setter. Or I just talk about it as the sun setting Pokemon, but It does get Will-O-Wisp. It gets Ghost coverage. There's some Psychic coverage. It gets Energy Ball. Obviously, Fire type attacks. Once again, not the strongest Fire type attacker, but it can play that role. It has some utility to it, and I think Weather will get a bit of a buff in this league with its rules because, again, only one Pokemon in each team is even able to Gigantamax, so you won't run into the issue so much that some Weather teams can run into with when every Pokemon can Dynamax and every Water type sets Rain, every Rock type or every Pokemon with a Ground type move can set Sandstorm that can kind of, shorten your Weather. Without every Pokemon being able to Dynamax, Weather is a little bit harder to combat. The Weather Wars are a little bit easier to win, I think, with a Pokemon like Ninetales, so we're going to see. But yeah, we have a Sun Pokemon. I'm happy to get that. I, once again, was not planning on getting a Sun core going on the team, but we were. We weren't able to, later in the draft, get too much else to benefit from it other than this next Pokemon, but even then, just having these two Pokemon together, these two Pokemon being Ninetales and my next Pokemon, which I'm ecstatic nobody picked up, nobody sniped from me after seeing they got Ninetales. This next Pokemon being Venusaur. Yeah, even if I just have Ninetales and then Venusaur benefits from that with Chlorophyll, that alone is, A-okay by me. It also gives me a Grass type, which I didn't have on the team yet. It gives me a Pokemon that also gives me a Poison type, which I love Poison type attacks. Gives me that. Obviously, I can just fire off strong stab, either Choice Specs or Life Orb. Sludge Bombs on the opponents. Also, Venusaur, a Pokemon I feel like I can use in a lot of ways, even without Ninetales. Even I can bring Venusaur some weeks without having that Sun factor on the team. It's Pokemon that even I can run a supportive set with Venusaur. Just go Leech Seed, Sleep Powder, Toxic. Run a bulky Venusaur. Or again, in the Sun, base 160. So again, trying to hit those speed tiers, trying to find kind of different ways to get speed on this team. So again, Venusaur is the only Pokemon I was able to draft that really has a tangible, built-in benefit from the Sun. But that benefit, very strong, gets us 2/3 of the way to also having a Fire, Water, Grass core, which I really wasn't planning on trying to get, but I'm happy to have. So, and we'll see the Water type later. Water type we drafted a bit later in the draft, but Venusaur, obviously a classic Pokemon, gives a lot of good utility. Very strong in the Sun, fast, strong, sweeping Pokemon. You can even set up with growth if you want. Venusaur just, again, offers a lot. Very happy to have it. Very happy I was able to kind of see through the trees and see kind of the opportunity to get this Sun core going. And it made a few people mad. There was another player in the draft who was trying to build a Sun team of his own, but, I was able to get in there, get this Pokemon, and I'm very happy to have it. Then next, so I was doing the draft. I live streamed the draft. And the draft was done with my good friend, Mr. Modman, Jordan. And he was really banging the table for this Pokemon. It's a Pokemon he really likes a lot. He's not a big competitive player, but he has some very strong opinions. It's a Pokemon he wanted us to draft a lot, and that is the Pokemon. And I wasn't thinking about it at all. At all. But when he explained it to me, when I looked at everything this Pokemon can do, especially everything it can do compared to the roles I was looking to continue to augment on this team, that Pokemon is our now mascot. That is, of course, Claydol. And Claydol, once again, you might be thinking, why is he drafting Claydol? And what can Claydol do? And Claydol can do a ton that I did not realize. Claydol, obviously, just going into the stats, obviously, bad HP, but, good defenses, 105 defense, 120 special defense, so a mixed wall, can wall on both sides, both attacking stats in the 70s, so neither high, but you can run either physical or special Claydol. The speed's not, the speed's at 75, so it's not great, but it's not great. But again, it gives a kind of a lower speed tier Pokemon, but Claydol can do a ton. Obviously, it stabs in ground and psychic. Both stabs we didn't have on the team. Psychic, or maybe expanding force if we're going against maybe an Indeedee 1 week. You have Earth Power, or maybe I could run Scorching Sands 1 week, which is obviously one of the new moves added in the DLC. That's in essence a ground type Scald, which is the move I'm excited to play around with. It's a move I'd like to experiment with, so maybe win that with Claydol. But that's not really why we have Claydol for the offensive. We have Claydol for the utility. And Claydol offers a ton of different utility options. It gets dual screens, so we can get Light Screen, Reflect Up 1 week. It is another Stealth Rocker, which I think is big. It's Pokemon on this team that it's a Rapid Spinner, which we did not have a Rapid Spinner. We had a few Defoggers, but we didn't have a Rapid Spinner yet, so we have a Rapid Spinning option. Also, it gets Trick Room. Now, you're going to see by the time this draft is done, this team is very fast. I feel like I end up with one of the fastest teams in my league. Not so much worried about, I'm probably never going to want to run Trick Room myself. Maybe I can bring Trick Room as an option to counter Trick Room on certain teams. Or maybe 1 week I really do try and make that. Now, is that something I'm going to do? Probably not. But again, having the option, very helpful. Something I notice is that Claydol and Togekiss, both of them get Solar Beam. Which is that a great play? Probably not. But again, trying to dig to find other benefits I get from Sun. So, Claydol, once again, not a Pokemon I was even considering coming into the draft. This was 100% Mr. Modman recommending this, but almost immediately when I started reading about him, kind of fell in love with him a little bit. Very happy to have him. He's obviously the mascot of the team, so you know I have to feel some kind of way about him. So yeah, we have Claydol as a tier 4 pick. I love the versatility, and he just plays a lot of roles that I want on this team. So, very happy with him. And then our next pick kind of shored up one of the weaknesses I found in the team, one of the things I was really trying to cover. I talked earlier about wanting priority, about wanting, good speed tiers on this team. And this Pokemon we drafted our fastest Pokemon here. We dipped back into our free points. We drafted a tier 2, and the Pokemon we drafted as another tier 2 pick is Weavile. And I'm sure a lot of you know what Weavile does, but super fast Pokemon, base 125. That's extremely fast, especially in the Gen 8 format. Obviously, great stab types in Dark, in Ice. He can run knockoff. We didn't have a real good knockoff user yet. Icicle Crest. Once again, Ice Shard for priority, which is something I really wanted on this team. Ice Shard, Really, most weeks we're probably going to run a pretty similar set with the Weavile. Most weeks when we bring the Weavile, it's probably going to be, Dark Stab, Ice Shard, and some other maybe Swords Dance, Substitute, something. But a lot of the weeks, we're going to know what we're doing with this thing. Going to run a lot of Choice Band, probably, but that's fine, because Weavile's a great Pokemon. It's very, very good at what it does. Obviously having an Ice type, great to have an Ice type Pokemon, great to have that. Just, again, having that Stab Ice Shard really makes up what I didn't get by drafting Lucario, and it makes that Cobalion pick even better because I didn't need the priority on that guy. So we have Weavile, very excited for him. I think he's going to be a very, very useful Pokemon for me this year. And again, very happy to get him with my 4th to last pick in the draft. We were also we were eyeing Frostlass a little bit, trying to see an Ice type. I wanted an Ice type. I also wanted a really fast Pokemon. We were also eyeing Rotom Frost. Again, because I also wanted Electric type. So that was on the table, but very happy with Weavile. I was able to fill those roles with other Pokemon we drafted down the line. But the next Pokemon, so these last 3 picks, they were very much interlocked for me, basically. They were very much they were connected, because I still needed a Water type. Really, from very early in the draft, I went, okay, we need to get a Water type at some point. Looking at the G-Max list, it seemed like the smartest route to get a Gigantamax that was going to fit on the team and get and to get that Water type was to cover both in one pick. We were eyeing G-Max Lapras, because getting Sparkling Aria up seems very nice. But I kind of think, maybe Lapras, because I love Aurora Veil. I love Alolan Ninetales. But, but looking at that, I was thinking, I don't really know how much I love Lapras without an item. Without the ability to hold leftovers or something to boost damage, or Light Clay to make that that Aurora Veil last longer. Because I looking at it, I'm like, I don't know how valuable that is without an item, because I'm gonna bring the thing in, I'm gonna Gigantamax, I'll get Aurora Veil up, which I love, but then for 3 turns of that 5 turns of Aurora Veil that I'm getting, I'm gonna want to keep the Lapras in, ideally to get my most out of my Gigantamax. So really, I'm getting 2 to 3 turns for other stuff on that. So I don't know if I love that. We were also looking at Kingler as an option, because Kingler actually would have given us back points, which would have maybe let us pick a higher tier Pokemon with one of our last picks here. Also, we were looking at it. We really felt early on in the draft, after our first, 6 picks, we didn't really have a lot of physical attackers. Our only physical attacker at the time was Cobalion. So we thought maybe Kingler, give us our water type, give us another physical attacker. We didn't end up going that way, though. We didn't end up going with either of those Pokemon, because we saw the opportunity to shore up some of those other areas later in the draft. So instead, we picked a Pokemon that I think will function very well by itself, very well even without an item, and that is Gmax Inteleon. So Inteleon, obviously, another very fast Pokemon, base 120, our second fastest Pokemon on the team. It has it also does, I didn't realize this, it has access to a lot of priority moves. It gets Aqua Jet, it gets Ice Shard, it gets Sucker Punch. And it's not a phenomenal physical attacker, but having that option I think is helpful. I can just decent coverage, water type moves. You have a pick of the litter with water type moves. Even you can run Hydro Pump for the power, you can run Scald for the burn chance, you can run Snipe Shot, its signature move, to kind of try and take advantage of its hidden ability, which is Sniper. So if I can even without the item, I thought that the ability to just kind of fish for those 3 times damage critical hits that you get with its ability Sniper, I thought I could maybe make up for the loss of something like a Choice Scarf or a Life Orb. Now, once again, obviously, not being able to run Scope Lens on it, you lower the critical hit chance, which is annoying. But again, I think it's Pokemon that will function well. It'll at the very least give me fast water type attacks, which is something that I think is valuable for this team. And then also the coverage options. Another Pokemon that can use Ice type attacks. It can learn Ice Beam. It can learn Blizzard. It can learn Dark Pulse. I'm forgetting at the moment, but there are a lot of other, it has some good coverage options. It gives me everything that I wanted in a water type at this point. I didn't really feel the need at all to get a bulky water type. Once again, as you can tell, we have a lot of bulk on this team. So getting another fast, hard-hitting Pokemon as our Gmax, I think that's valuable. I think Inteleon is going to be a useful Pokemon for this team. Maybe not going to be one of our heaviest, not going to be one of our best Pokemon, but I think for what it was, not having to invest in paying for the Gmax Pokemon, I think Inteleon without an item will play all the roles I want it to play. So I'm happy with this pick. And we were able to, it made us not have to focus on getting a Gmax early in the draft. We were able to pick and instead fill out the rest of our team at the draft, kind of swoop in and just all those water types I talked about were available. I was able to get the Pokemon I wanted to play the role I thought that I would want. So yeah, Inteleon, very happy to get this Pokemon. Excited to try it out. Not a Pokemon I've ever used. Then our next pick, once again, I said we wanted to get another physical attacker, and this is kind of where we got that in line. We drafted as our tier 5 pick, and I think this Pokemon was probably by and far the best Pokemon in tier 5, the lowest tier for this draft. Lowest tier Pokemon in this draft. I think this is by and far the best Pokemon in this draft. I think it's a very versatile Pokemon. And it gives us that physical attacker another physical attacker that I really wanted to have. And that is, we picked Bouffalant. This is another Pokemon that Mr. Modman really wanted this Pokemon he really likes. And I see why. Listen, obviously 110 base attack. That obviously very useful, very strong. Gives us a nice normal type attacker. It's a normal type, so it gets all types of coverage with, obviously, it gets head smash, head charge. I don't remember which one of those is the rock type attack, but it gets both a Mega Horn, ground coverage, rock coverage. Once again, another Pokemon who, when I was looking over the list of all the things it can do after the fact, I'm like, this Pokemon can do even more than I thought it could. It has some good utility options. I believe it learns strength. No, it does not get strength sap. But nevertheless, like, it's a Pokemon, it can hit you in a lot of ways. It has a lot of bulk, base 95 HP defense and special defense. Not a fast Pokemon, but again, I don't mind having some slow Pokemon, because who knows, we might come up against a Trick Room team one week, and having these slow Pokemon might help me kind of play around that. But a versatile Pokemon gives me everything that I'm looking for in a normal type, in a competitive setting. Once again, the bulk, the versatility. Once again, I think the best Pokemon that was available in Tier 5, by far. Very happy to get him where we were able to get him. So, yeah, Buffalot, happy to have him on the team. I think he's going to be a useful option for us in a lot of situations. And now the last Pokemon we picked here. So, when I was looking at everything, once again, these last 3 picks, we talked a lot about these last 3 picks. Because we were going between, are we going to pick one of these water type G-Maxes? If we do, we definitely want Buffalot. We definitely want to lock that in as our tier 5. But then, I still want an electric type. And then at a certain point, we kind of went, okay, but what if we draft G-Max Toxtricity instead? And then as a water type, we get Gastrodon and Buffalot. That was a conversation we had a lot. It's kind of rotating around these last 3 picks. But we honed in. We settled on to a couple electric types that I would have been happy with, but none of them got sniped. One thing in this draft, never once did something I was targeting get picked before I could pick it, which was awesome. I was able to commit to every pick I committed to making. I was able to make it that round. That was excellent. That was very nice. I don't know if that says that I was picking Pokemon that nobody else wanted. Maybe it just says that I'm some kind of savant at drafting. I don't know. But nothing I wanted ever got picked out from under my nose, which was excellent. And the electric type we settled on. We went back and forth with Jolteon was kind of an option here. I don't think Jolteon's a super versatile Pokemon, but it would have been a Wisher, and obviously base 130 would have been the fastest Pokemon. It's a Volt Switcher, it could accomplish the jobs. But instead, we were able to get a Pokemon that I think has a good amount more versatility. Pokemon that hits harder. Pokemon that does some of the things that we didn't have yet on this team. And that Pokemon is, and our final pick of the draft was Vikavolt. Now, Vikavolt is akin to my favorite Pokemon, which is Electra. My favorite Pokemon all the time is Electros, which of course, an electric type with Levitate. No weaknesses. Obviously, Vikavolt has weaknesses. He does have Levitate, but obviously the bug typing does give him some weaknesses. But still, that's a little something that endears Vikavolt to me ever since I found out about him when I was playing through Sun and Moon for the first time. But very hard hitter. Highest individual attacking stat on this team at 145. Not a terribly frail Pokemon. Big thing, gives us sticky web support, something we don't have on this team. I don't think we're going to need a ton of speed control on this team, really, with us having a very fast team overall. But it's still something I wanted. It is a hazard that I value having on the team, so having that option. Obviously, again, just being able to fire off very, very, very strong Stab Thunderbolts. It has 2 phasing moves in Volt Switch and in U-Turn. So I can kind of mix and match those depending on the week. It gets Air Slash, which is a nice special type attack. It has some other coverage moves. Again, for my last pick in the draft, I wanted an electric type. I knew that. I was prepared to draft what I think is a kind of a generic electric type in Jolteon. So obviously being able to get an electric type that does a lot of other things that I value, definitely happy with that. It's another Pokemon that gets Solar Beam. So again, maybe one week when we bring Ninetales, we bring Solar Beam Vikavolt. Don't tell anybody that one, but I want to do that at least once. At least once this season. So again, Vikavolt, Pokemon I'm happy to have. Gives us a very low speed Pokemon, which I do think could be valuable if we face Trick Room 1 week, knowing that I can bring a Pokemon that can underspeed a lot of threats. There's value to that. But yeah, a nice pivot, a Pokemon that can once again phase around, a bulky Pokemon that can pivot out, a slow Pokemon that can pivot out, which I do think is always valuable. But slow pivoting, especially when you have faster Pokemon, can be very valuable. Having your Pokemon that can take the hit, then U-turn or Volt Switch out, and bring something in that doesn't have to take a hit, bring in one of my frailer Pokemon like Weavile. I'm kind of thinking of a strategy for that week 1 to bring in a Pokemon against something that might otherwise counter it. So I think there's value in that. Cobalion also gets Volt Switch, so those two can kind of be switching around each other. But yeah, Vikavolt, think it's going to be a valuable Pokemon. Think it's going to be, once again, another asset to this team. Because again, I really, and maybe it's because I've never drafted before, but I'm really happy with this team. I really love this team. This team has everything that I want. I have fast special attackers. I have fast physical attackers. I have slow special attackers. I have slow physical attackers. I have very fast Pokemon. I have priority. I have stealth rock setters. I have defoggers. I have, a rapid spinner. I have screens. I have trick room. I have status moves. I have a little Sun Core going. I have Pokemon that have, that can recover on their own. Like, I have a lot of things on this team. I have 2 cores. I have a Fairy Dragon Steel core and a Fire Water Grass core, which I didn't think I'd get both, but I got both. So really, just again, I have a lot of things on this team that I'm very happy with. I feel like I have every toy in the toy box that I wanted to get. So now it's going to be up to me. Because like I said, never played Draft League before. Never had to prepare for battles quite like this. I'm already knee deep in preparing for my week 1 matchup. But we'll get into that at the end of the video. But yeah, I'm happy with this team. Like I said, I can do everything that I would want to do on this team. Like, obviously, I don't have spike support, but I don't really like spikes. I don't really use toxic spikes. So I'm fine not having those. But otherwise, I don't really have a lot of Tailwind support on this team. Well, actually, no. Hydreigon and Togekiss can both set Tailwind. I believe Vikavolt can too, but I'm not positive. So I actually do have Tailwind support. But again, I don't think speed control is necessarily something I'm really going to need on this team. But I have a lot of bulk. I have a lot of bulky attackers, which I love using bulky offensive Pokemon. I love the ability to switch around and take hits and deal out damage. Like you want to do in a Pokemon battle. But yeah, very happy about this team. Very happy to hopefully I can make it work. I feel like if I don't do well this season, it's not going to be because of the draft. I think it's going to be because of my own battling and team building abilities are going to be the thing that stops this team from succeeding. Because once again, I love this team. And also, hey, we're ranked number 3 in the power rankings for our conference. Just saying, post-draft. So I think I did okay for myself. Very thankful to everybody who was in the chat who was helping me. Obviously, very thankful to Mr. Modman, who was right there behind me during the draft, in the war room with me. We dug in, had a ton of fun doing this. Again, this was as fun, if not more fun, than I thought it was going to be. So excited for that. And yeah, once again, my week 1 matchup against Moonlight Wolf. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be having that battle on Thursday. I'm going to be posting that right here to YouTube. Don't think this is going to be a team builder. Might do a little rundown of the team at the beginning of the video, but the battle will be coming out on Thursday. So if you want to see that, oh boy, never been able to say this. Subscribe to this channel, like the video, give us a comment. Give me a comment saying what you like about this team, saying what you don't like about this team. What do you think about this team? Tell me if you think I'm a total idiot and I know nothing about Draft League and this team sucks. Let me know. Want to hear from you guys. Once again, excited to be in Draft League. Excited to be just doing YouTube. Excited to keep building the brand, but building up the brand, baby. But yeah, again, next video's gonna be Thursday. Once again, like and subscribe. Follow the links, follow the Twitch stream. I'm there very often. That's kind of my main thing right now. But yeah, excited for this. Excited for GPL Season 3. Can't wait. Coastal Clay Dolls, trying to make a championship run, trying to be the dark horse playoff team. Rookie sensations. That's who we're trying to be. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Have a lovely rest of your day.